Hey everybody, welcome back. Lately I've been dissecting conspiracy theories from the perspective of language and presentation. And I've noticed a co-opting of words, phrases, and historical figures by conspiracy theorists in order to gain the appearance of legitimacy. In the hands of especially crafty conspiracy theorists, those words and phrases can be twisted to fit their narrative, and those individuals not well versed in the concepts may not notice the twisting of the original intent. One of those concepts is Occam's razor. Most people are familiar with the basic paraphrase, the simplest solution tends to be the correct solution. But do we really understand Occam's razor and know how to use it properly? How do we know when a conspiracist is twisting the concept out of its intended use? In other words, how do I know when they're trying to use Occam's razor to blow smoke up my ass? All good questions. First, let's take a brief look at the history of Occam's razor. The concept is credited to William of Occam, who was a 14th century friar, philosopher, and theologian. He didn't coin the term, but his characteristic way of making predictions inspired other writers to develop the concept. However, William didn't come up with the idea himself. He borrowed it from others who came before him. The oldest known version was written by Aristotle, who wrote, "We may assume the superiority, other things being equal, of the demonstration which derives from fewer postulates and hypotheses." It was further used and refined until it finally came down through time to William of Occam. And it's been used ever since by scientists, medical doctors, psychologists, biologists, and laymen alike. Newton, Einstein, Hawking, they all used it. They all wrote about it. So it has to be a basic scientific principle, right? Well, not so much. What Occam's razor is a mental model. And mental models are used to make quick decisions without necessarily having empirical evidence. For example, if I hear hooves running up behind me, I'm likely to think horses, not zebras, unless I happen to be on the African savanna. I don't necessarily have to see the horses to properly make the deduction that I need to get the hell out of the way. So if Occam's razor doesn't require empirical evidence, why do scientists use it? They use it at the beginning of the thought process when developing a hypothesis and experiments to test them. Because simpler hypotheses are easier to test and falsify, they are ultimately less expensive than complex hypotheses and experiments. But scientists also allow for the possibility of hypotheses to grow more complex over time, provided they aren't stacking their ideas through confirmation bias in order to resist falsification. By contrast, a conspiracy theorist will use Occam's razor at the end of their thought process as a way to defend their ideas from falsification. For example, an evolution denier will ask the question, what's easier to believe, that humans evolved from pond scum or were created by a divine being? At which point, they consider the argument closed. However, they also ignore all the empirical evidence which shows evolution to be a valid scientific theory. Mental models, while useful, do not absolve us from intellectual rigor and scientific testing, nor should they be used in isolation. Even though scientists attempt to keep things simple, it still requires effort to arrive at proper conclusions. Mental models such as Occam's razor are best used in conjunction with other mental models as a way of checks and balances. Those other models include, but are not limited to, fundamental error distribution, Hanlon's razor, confirmation bias, hindsight bias, etc. Most laymen oversimplify Occam's razor to mean the simplest answer is usually correct. But the real meaning is that you shouldn't complicate or stack a theory if a simpler explanation is available. Pare it down, prune the excess, but beware of oversimplification and don't ignore empirical evidence once it becomes available. The world is vastly more complex than what we see out our windows, and mental models, such as Occam's razor, is a beginning to understanding, not an end. If someone tries to shut down a debate through Occam's razor, chances are pretty high that they are simply attempting to blow smoke up your ass. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this was informative. And if it's your first time here, I hope you consider subscribing or checking out some of my other videos. In the meantime, leave a comment in the section below and let me know what you think about this.